Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. I hope that you're ready to learn about slides. I know, such an exhilarating topic, but here's the truth. When you sign up to present at a conference, like you might have done, and you might have gotten accepted recently, but when you sign up to be part of a conference, you might be doing so virtually nowadays, but you might also be doing so live. Yeah, still in person, maybe in a packed room. Maybe everybody has spent a lot of money and a lot of time to get there to listen to you speak and to learn from you. That could be a lot of pressure. And, to alleviate that pressure, you can spend some time crafting some slides, some great slides that can do some heavy lifting. That way you can focus on what you actually do best, which is talking about the topic. To start off here, I'm going to give you some initial or, basic presentation tips. And there's a ton of tips out there. Okay. But these first few are going to be more like steps to take in order to set yourself up to make great slides and to deliver a great presentation. First off, when you get the acceptance letter or email, hooray, review the proposal immediately and say no to slides. Now, I know that sounds odd based on the title of this presentation, but start off by not thinking about slides at all. In fact, I'll do you one better. Imagine that slides and PowerPoints have just been outlawed all over the world. So you might be provided with a flip chart or a whiteboard, but no slides. So imagine you can't do slides, and then you're going to go to step 2 here. Take the proposal, take the idea, and outline it. Outline it thoroughly. And make sure that all of the smaller ideas within the topic that you're going to cover, make sure that these are ideas that you can explain thoroughly and completely, competently, without needing any visual aids. This works for many reasons, but imagine, if you will, that you have someone in your audience who can't see. Yeah, but you've got slides on the screen that require everyone to see. How are you going to explain it if you haven't prepared yourself? So step 2 here is outline your ideas. Make sure that you can communicate those ideas verbally, maybe even write yourself a script. All right, step 3. Now, you have the ideas fleshed out. Think about adding 1 to 2 activities. Do so deliberately. Add an activity at the 20-minute mark, and then add another one at the 40-minute mark of your presentation. These can be discussions or reflections, posters, sticky notes. I don't really care what you do. Just make sure you have an activity, because engaging in the content leads to stronger learning outcomes. And sometimes badly designed slides actually lead to lower learning outcomes. So first, replace the slides with activities. And then go to step 4. Imagine that you're there at the conference and we've got everything ready, your ideas, your notes, your activities, and you think, if I could have 3 to 5 images to really teach these points better, and if I could have 3 to 5 infographics or handouts to really, I mean, really increase the learning and engagement, what would those 6 to 10 visual aids be? But imagine it as if you were there. Imagine yourself doing it and needing those resources to really get into some deeper learning. And then reflect on what makes those necessary for greater learning, and then create it. That's step 5. Decide on the visuals you want, and then design the visuals to aid your activities or your script or your lesson. Design it with purpose. So let me give you some design tips. First up is our agenda. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, I'm a licensed professional counselor, but prior to 2016, I was actually a graphic designer. So I know a thing or two after 10 years in the field about designing stuff. Here's what we're going to cover today. The first design tip is, to making great slides here, that this on screen is a big no-no. Yeah. I just spent 5 minutes getting you focused and ready to learn some tips. And then I say, no, wait, time out. I got to show you something unnecessary here. The truth is, agenda pages can be useful sometimes, but in live presentations, they kind of fall flat and they end up sucking all the energy out of the room. Instead, I offer you this as a suggestion. Imagine that this slide here on screen is your agenda slide. Have this slide up and ready when the door is open to your session. Just have this up, not your title page. Look, even the title is up here at the top of the page, but have this slide up so that people can come in and they can see what you're going to cover. And then when you're ready to begin, with a click of a button, you're going to introduce yourself in your presentation. Allow the title card to enter in as you begin to talk. Now everyone knows, oh, it's time to listen, it's time to focus. But what if people are sitting all the way in the back? Well, they might not see your text. This is too small. So the next tip is make the type bigger. Just make it bigger. I just went from 152 size type and scaled it up to 300 size type. But if you're sitting in the back, now you can see it. Play with it. Find something that doesn't feel too overpowering, but also that everyone can see. You could also try something like this. Welcome everyone to Preparing Great Slides. My name is Rick. I'm so happy that you could be here today. You see how that blue line just came in? The word great. Here, let me show you again. Preparing great slides. Yeah, you could do that. Here's tip number 3. People like pictures or moving things. Moving pictures? Even better. Humans love those. So add some movement by animating words and quotes and lines, visuals. This keeps people's attention on your presentation. Here's another tip. Good slides are like good tacos. Less is more. Think of tacos for a bit. When you overstuff a taco, it gets all messy, it falls apart, you get stuff all over your fingers and bits fall in your lap. It's a mess. It's a mess. But the best tacos is just the meat. Okay, so maybe you put a little onion or a little lime in there, whatever. But don't do too much because then it overpowers the flavor of the thing that matters the most. And what matters the most in your presentation are the words that you are saying, that you are communicating. And the words are best when they're coming out of your mouth, not written on the screen. If they are better written on the screen, then just write a paper or a blog post or just send it to me in an email. I'm not going to attend your presentation to read your slides. I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. I'm here to engage. So, you see the slide? There's a few ways that we can emphasize things on this slide. And this is actually the next set of tips. Emphasize what matters with size. That's one way you could see that on screen. The most important words should be bigger. You can also make it brighter or less bright. You can also make it bold. Yeah, make certain words bold. You can underline it. You can highlight it. You can zoom into it. But please do not do all the things. Remember, we want harmony, not chaos. And sometimes harmony seems boring, but it works. Which brings me to my 5th tip for designing great slides. Think about how people will react to your slides, and how they're going to interact with your slides. Maybe you want them to take a picture of a particular slide. Well, put a little icon of a phone in the corner, or put an icon of a notebook or of a pencil as a reminder to write stuff down. Or maybe you want them to engage with the slide in a different way. Maybe you want to share a video or a worksheet with them, and so you put like a QR code up in there, and you have them go to it. Maybe the QR code takes the audience to a video about tacos so that they can see that less is actually more. And maybe that helps get the metaphor across. How many of you got the QR code in the previous slide? Gotcha. Okay, one last tip. Ask your conference venue. This is a bonus tip. Ask the venue about screen sizes and screen ratios. It'll either be 4:3 or 16:19. That way you can build your presentation to a template or a theme that matches that size. PowerPoint will give you a selection of themes. Sometimes they're called templates. People will use that term. The Apple version of PowerPoint is actually called Keynote. So here's what Keynote looks like. My only tip here is pick something simple. Simple is better. Don't modify that stuff too much. They pick that font for a reason, that size of lettering for a reason. And hey, you can play with that, but you can always stick to what they've already designed. And if you don't like any of the options, then you can always choose to just Google it. I don't mean use Google Slides. Please don't. They're not great. They're not great. I mean, they work in a pinch, but they're not great. Just search presentation slide options or templates or ideas for slides. Find a slide that you like and then use that one every time so that you know it. Get some practice. You'll learn what it can do and what it can't do. Before you know it, with some practice, you've really developed some skill for making great slides. Better yet, go back and search for slide design or professionally designed slides or presentation slide design and see what's out there. Maybe there's an app or an online tool that will help you build it in a way that makes sense to you. My only tip with these is, like, if you're going to use Canva, for example, just remember that at some point you're going to want to export these slides. Okay. These online internet tools require internet connection. So what if I'm setting up my presentation with my Canvas slides and I'm in a building and they have a little Wi-Fi because too many people in the conference are hooked up to the Wi-Fi? What do? My slides are frozen. Uh-oh. Well, lucky for you, you planned this presentation to function without slides, right? Without the visual aids. So you can continue. Or you can find a way to export your slides and have them run locally on PowerPoint or Keynote or even a PDF viewer. So those are some of the tips to picking a theme. But what about customizing it? Yeah, what about customizing it? How much? How little? How should I customize? Well, it depends. It depends. Take a look at this picture here on screen. Yes, this one right here. Pay attention to where your eyes go. Yeah, now my eyes go, they focus on the guy off to the right. Yeah, I don't think he realizes how offensive this can be to speakers. But, your eyes probably went naturally towards the center of the screen where I put the presenter because that's what's most important. But if we go back to that original image or just zoom out a bit, you'll notice all the attention from the audience is on the screen. This guy, is the expert and should have everyone's focus, and yet they're looking at a screen. There's an expert speaking, and instead they're looking at not a great slide. It is bigger, it's brighter, has more colors. All the chairs are pointing at it. And then you got this guy who thinks he should be focused on keeping his hands steady to get these once in a lifetime slides. Meanwhile, he's not paying attention and will likely remember nothing about this presentation. He won't be able to engage with the sharing activity or the brainstorm or the action planning activity, but he'll have some pictures. But it's not actually his fault. It's the presenter's fault because the presenter decided to make the focus of their presentation some slides, which isn't like wrong or bad. But if you're going to do that, then make a YouTube video or do a webinar style presentation. Your audience paid money, traveled. They're away from work, away from family, and they came to watch you talk, not to watch some slides, which means that we should all be thinking about our slides differently. These visual aids, they're visual aids for a reason. They aid us in the point we're trying to make. Now, warning here. In 3 seconds, I'm about to temporarily blind you to make a point. They say that a picture says 1,000 words, so use pictures. They say that colors should be complementary, so use them to indicate importance. They say that you should limit your content to about 1 point per slide. They say that at most you should have about 6 objects on a slide. It has been said that while citations at the bottom of slides are important, it's equally reasonable to have a bibliography page at the end of the slide. And lastly, it's well known that headers should not be bigger. When it comes to slides, headers in slides are kind of pointless. Let me show you what I mean. Take a look at the slide on screen. It's objectively bad. It is. It's not great. And we can fix it with a few simple steps. It's not like the end of the world, but we can make it way better with a few simple steps. Let me show you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight the text, and we're going to highlight all of it, and we're going to actually put this in the presenter notes. So to do that, you're going to go to your help menu, and you're going to type in presenter notes in the help menu. Turn on presenter notes, and then you're going to paste all that text in the presenter notes because you're going to read that to your audience. Next, I'm going to go and select the text again, and I'm going to animate some of it. So I'll go to my animation bar, and I'm going to select build in because those animations allow the objects and the text, etc., to be animated into the slide. I'll pick dissolve because I like that one. After that, I'm going to specify how I want the text to come into view. So I'll choose by highlighted bullet. This allows each of my bullets to come in individually so that I can specify them, but then they'll also be highlighted, lowering the opacity of the text around it so that one stands out. This allows my point to stand out, of course, but it also allows the audience to focus on what matters most. So next, what I'll do is I'll set reminders in my script or in my notes with these little stars, little asterisks. That's a note to me so that I can click on the button of the remote, and that'll bring in the next animation. Once we're done with that, we're going to actually change what's on screen. So first I'll start typing out the picture point, which I'll just say use pictures. Next will be use complementary colors, but maybe take out the word use, just complementary colors. And then I can talk about what a complementary color is. And then the next one will be only 1 point per slide. Next will be maximum 6 objects per slide. Let's see, what's next here? I'm gonna, let me look at my notes. All right, we have bibliography. Yeah, have a bibliography. And the last point is, right, all headers or headers are dumb because they take up too much space. Speaking of headers, here's what we can do. You're going to take the header and you're going to make it smaller. Resize the text boxes while you're at it. So we're going to take the main points and we're going to make that box bigger. We're going to make all the text in here bigger. Go over to your text bar on the side, and you're going to increase the line spacing so that it's all balanced with the 2 columns here. See that? Yeah, so we're going to increase the line spacing. What am I raising it here to? That'll do. No, maybe a little more. There we go. Perfect. Now everything is nice and balanced. Here's what it looks like. But what about the problem of the screen being, bigger, brighter, pulling attention away from me, the speaker? Well, for in-person presentations, I would change this background to black, and the text, I would change that to white. So check this out. I'm in control of these as they come in. I can focus you on each one of the points here. And the header at the top is not stealing the show at all. Instead, the point is what's important, and that's what's in focus. So you see, just a few simple steps. But there's actually a better way. One of the tips was 1 point per slide, right? Let's make a point. They say that a picture says, what does it say? What does it say? You. Yeah. It says 1,000 words. Yeah. And in this case, it says more than 1,000. Imagine for a moment that you could focus the attention of your audience on a feeling, a shared idea, a phenomenological human experience. You could share with them a story or a startling fact or a statistic as you weave your tapestry or you connect your points where you go from slide to slide so that they never have to wonder why they're here, why they're watching you present. They just are. They're not disengaged. Instead, they're engaged in what you're talking about. This is how your slides will stand out. This is how you get to increase the retention of the knowledge shared. This is how you make things more memorable at conferences. Yes, you have to put in the time. You have to think it through thoroughly. You have to imagine the questions that your people might have. You have to answer those questions in your talk. And then you have to give them the necessary information, the context, the stories, the activities, the emotions, so that they can stay focused and engaged. Yes, you have to connect the information to a feeling. It has to be emotional. This is how your brain remembers best. Now, you don't have to spend decades mastering photography. You don't have to spend a lifetime perfecting design. You don't have to become a legend of letter design to make good slides. You just have to try. And when you need the help, just ask for it. My name's Rick. I've been doing this since I was a kid. If you want some help before your next conference presentation, just let me know. I've got your back. And if you want to learn more, good on you. Check out some of these books and websites. The resources here, there's tons of them, but these are some of the best ones that I would recommend. Exhilarating, right? Yeah. But if you want to do better at presentation slides, now's the time to start. Thanks for listening.